We're here with Rob Andrew, the Chief Executive of Sussex Cricket. Rob, another season done here at the First Central County Ground, so we thought it's just a good opportunity to look back on this season and then look ahead to next season. So I guess the best place to start is, from your point of view, just try and sum up how the season went from a performance point of view on the pitch.
Yeah, hi Jamie. Obviously from a performance point of view it wasn't as good as we would have liked. We didn't set off at the beginning of the season, certainly from a championship cricket point of view, and the Blast as well to a degree, and we'll come back to that. It hasn't gone as well as we would have liked. Clearly there were signs, individual signs, and a bit of a collective sign around the 50 over competition, which obviously some great performances in there, some good individual performances, particularly the batting in the championship. But overall, we have to say it was disappointing, and we need to improve on that.
So the RL50 campaign, it was a brilliant campaign. I think what surprised people the most was not just the wins, but the way the team went about it. There seemed to be a bit of a shift in strategy. That was very attacking cricket. It was very entertaining, and we had some great days down here at Hove.
Yeah, it was a great tournament, and we hoped it would be. Obviously, we blooded a lot of young players in the 50 over competition last year, and there was a little bit more experience around in the team, wasn't there, this year, with Tom Alsop signing and Pujara being in that team, Del Rey not being in the 100 and being available, so that the balance of the side was much better. And obviously with Brad Curry and Ari Cavalis coming into the team as well, just strengthened the bowling, and we played some wonderful cricket, and we were worthy being winners of our group. So that will hopefully give the players more confidence going into next year. And when you're building a team, these things take time and you have to go step by step. But I think you're right, the confidence they showed in the way they played, particularly some of the innings, and that was without Tom Haynes playing for a lot of it. Some of the innings, some of the runs that Tom Alsop and Ali Orr scored, and Pujara himself, it was wonderful and exciting cricket to watch, and hopefully for some of those young players it will also give them the confidence to go into the T20 side next year, which is obviously part of their development and part of the plan as well.
And Ari Carvalhos, he was such an important kind of signing in that team. He had such a great campaign. We've now signed him permanently. How important was that to get him back here next year at Hove?
Yeah, I mean, Ari he had a great summer for us, obviously towards the back end. And we do want obviously to strengthen the bowling, and that was obviously if you look at the performances over the season, the bowling was the problem, and not because of the bowlers but because they were all injured, and it was unbelievable what happened with the bowling. And there were times in the county championship where we were having to borrow bowlers from other counties and take people on loan, because we had so many injuries with our so-called first choice bowling attack, and hopefully next year they'll all be fit and we'll get more out of them, and we'll add to the strength of the bowling with Ari, and hopefully another overseas bowler as well, which we're looking into. But it was pretty extraordinary when you think of what happened with Steve Finn and Finn Hudson-Prentice, George Garton, Jack Carson, Ollie Robinson. Even when he was made available by England, he was either ill or injured. Jofra clearly didn't play any cricket, so we're hopeful that won't happen again.
And then let's talk about the T20 cricket. It was a bit of an up and down season really. T20, we lost the first one, but then we had 3 wins on the row, and we thought maybe we could go on here and qualify from the group, but it didn't quite happen. We did have quite a lot of overseas players coming in and out. Do you think that kind of disturbed the momentum of the team?
Yeah, the T20 campaign was again frustrating from the point of view of what we thought was going to be the availability of players at the start of the season when we signed them, then didn't turn out to be the case. And so where our frustration with the bowling injuries in the championship side, the frustration in the T20 was again just international scheduling, trying to get the best overseas you can for the longest periods of time. And we thought we had Rizwan for most of the campaign. We thought we had Rashid for most of the campaign. And when we signed them in the winter, they were available. It was only because of COVID issues and backfilling of international matches that they got taken away from us. Even Josh Philippe, who was going to be available for the whole of the campaign, then got called into an Australia A squad, which they told us they weren't going to do that. So it did become difficult and frustrating, and although the guys that came in clearly did their best, we ended up probably chopping and changing the side too much through that campaign, and it never really got any sort of momentum.
And that's the problem, I guess, with T20 cricket and overseas players. When they're of a certain calibre, naturally they're going to be taken away to go and play for their international team. So it really is difficult to get 2 or 3 that will be there for a 4-week period, whatever the season is.
I think it comes back to one of the biggest challenges we've got in English cricket is the schedule. And how do you schedule in the modern cricketing world, where there are so many competing demands for these players, particularly at the level that we're trying to sign them up. We obviously want the highest calibre that we can, but as you've just said, today it is very difficult to be able to guarantee those players. For even when you think that they've got them, the international boards or the ICC will throw something in at the very last minute often, and that pulls it away. So from a planning point of view, it has become more and more difficult. And I don't think that's going to get any easier, and that's something that all counties, and we're looking at already as to how we can best do that, because you still need the consistency of a team and a group of players, and that's where we're quite excited about the way that our younger players are not only developing in the red ball side of things. Yes, we know the wins need to come, but we can see, if you look at the development of Ali Orr in particular, and the young Dan Ibrahim and Archie Lenham, Jack Carson wants to play white ball cricket, Hainsey wants to play white ball cricket, Tom Alsop can play all formats, Clarkey wants to play white ball cricket. We've got to get them all playing all formats, and there's a group of players there that I think everybody can see that there's real excitement and there's real talent. And we just have to be patient and believe in them, which we do. And we've seen that improvement this summer, and I think people should be very excited about next summer.
And let's kind of go into a bit more detail about the county championship. Obviously it was just 1 win this year, but like you touched on, there were so many individual performances in there that really give the fans something to be excited about. Tom Haynes for the last 2 years has scored loads of runs. Ali Orr this year was sensational, bringing in Tom Alsop. So there was a lot of promise there, but what can we do as a club to help the coaches next year and help the playing staff to get those victories more often in the campaign?
Yeah, look, very simple really. Let's take 20 wickets and let's get our existing bowlers fit and on the field and getting more overs out of them, which obviously they want to give us as well. So it's not as if the bowlers don't want to do that. We'd hope to get a bit more out of our international bowlers, but you can never control that. And we need a bit more strength, which is what we need to try and do. But as I said at the beginning, I think it's without really any overs from Robinson, Archer, Garton, Carson, Hudson Prentice, and maybe not as much out of Steve Finn as we would have wanted. That did make it very difficult from a bowling point of view, and that put the batters under pressure. It put Tom under pressure as captain, and we in the end we didn't bowl sides out sufficiently. Our batting, you've mentioned the batting. The batting has probably been the most consistent it's been since I've been here, in the 6 years I've been here, and that's with so-called more experienced players before this group who haven't had the batting averages that we've had this season. I know the batting across the country's been very good this year, but we've got some very good batting averages out of our top 6 this season, and we've got that top 6 coming back next year, as we've just announced. Obviously Pujara coming back, so it's we just need some more experience and some more fit bowlers on the field, and I think people can see there's real potential in this side.
Yeah, and like as you touched on, like Sean Hunt, he was our leading wicket taker in the county championship. Henry Crocombe, Archie Lenham, they're all very talented bowlers and they can all take wickets, which they've shown. But I think it was James Kirtley who mentioned they shouldn't be going out there as a 4 together. Really, they're so young. They need someone, maybe 2 or 3 bowlers to help them lead and help them develop and give that space to grow.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's pretty obvious that was our plan. When you look at the makeup of the squad and who we expected to be bowling this season that's just gone, the plan is pretty obvious. We only really hope to have one of those young players in at any given time, whichever one was the fittest, whichever one was bowling the best, whether that's Sean Hunt or Henry Crocombe or Jamie Atkins from the sort of the pace point of view. But because of the issues we had, they had to be thrown in all at the same time, and we had to go and loan people. So yeah, it put far too much pressure on them. We know that, and they did well to get through the season the way they did, and sort of stand up as well as they did. They get another winter under their belts, hopefully more support from the senior bowlers next year. It's pretty rare that you go through a whole season with 3 or 4 of your bowlers that you expect to bowl. I didn't even bowl a ball, some of them, in county cricket, which is, that's life, and then we have to deal with it, and we have to deal with shoulders and knees and ankles and long COVID and just about everything that could be thrown at us.
And you touched on it now, as we broke the news this week that Pujara will be back next season. How big news is that for the club and everyone here?
It's huge news, because he's one of the world's best batters. He proved that, and watching him bat last season, I think everybody could see that he loved being here. He's a massive influence in the dressing room. You want your overseas players to do what they do out there. First and foremost, if you've got a batter, you want him to score loads of runs, which is what he did. Gave confidence through the whole of the batting lineup, and as I said earlier, it's the best the batting lineup has gone since I've been here, and we've got to build on that next season with the younger players, and with Pudge around will be brilliant for them, and if we can back that up with the bowling. But yeah, it's a big statement for the club that he wants to come back here. He loved his time here. He quite likes the wicket to bat on, as you would expect, and he was a great influence in the dressing room. So it's really, really exciting news.
And now looking forward, we're in the market for a new head coach. Last year we had different coaches for different formats of the game, but there seems to be a shift in the strategy this year. We're going to go for a single head coach. What was the thinking behind that?
Again, it was sort of over the summer, and chatting to the coaches and chatting to other people, influential people around the club, just feeling that actually we needed, with the group of players that we've got and how we can see them developing over the next 2 or 3 years, more of them wanting to play all formats of the game, and with more and more of our sort of white ball only specialists sort of dropping out of the game, if you like, in terms of moving on, and maybe as not having as many white ball specialists, that we just felt it hasn't quite worked this year. Everybody accepts that, and let's have one head coach responsible across the whole club and the whole set of players and across all formats, and that's why we've made the decision that we have, and we'll hopefully be in a position this side of Christmas to move forward on that.
And then just finally, we'll just talk about the development of the ground, because there's been a lot of progress for those who haven't seen. When you come to the ground next season, what can fans expect from the development, and how will the first Central County ground look different to how it did last year?
Well, it's moving on, and we can hear most of it in the background. So yeah, we're very, very proud of what's happening there. It'd be great for people to come back, as you say, to the first Central County ground, and we're delighted to have renewed their sponsorship for the next 3 years, and really grateful for their support. And our sponsors and our members have been amazing over the last 3 years, because let's be honest, it's been a pretty tough 3 years, and people have really stuck by us, so we're incredibly pleased with that. We carried on with the development despite COVID. Most of people will have been to the ground, can see it's up, it's on its way now, and by the start of next season our hope is that it's completely finished, fully occupied, the Sussex Cricket are open again on the ground floor, ready to welcome people, and also with the current Wilbury office, the staff office, also demolished before the start of next season, as we start to turn our minds towards what would be phase 2 of the development of the master plan, which people will forget we launched that back in 2018. We started the process and went for planning in 2019. So yeah, hopefully there'll be big changes at the front of the ground, and people will see the ground taking shape for the future, just as I hope and I think we can see the team taking shape for the future as well.
Rob, thank you very much.